All right, boys, welcome in. Week 3 of the NASCAR season. We are in Las Vegas for the Pennzoil 400. I am your celebrity guest host, Iowa, joined as always by the living legends of betting left turns, Keg and Coop. How's it going, boys?
It's going well, bro.
Coop?
Why are you laughing at me?
I can't take this guy right now.
Why are you laughing? The glasses are broken. What do you want me to do?
God, what a time to be alive.
It's just the picture, man, I have in my head, man, of you trying to fix it. Meyer saying you look like you're an 8-year-old who just got bullied.
Yeah, I glued my fingers together twice trying to get this to work. I gotta go buy a new pair of glasses on Monday. Okay? All right.
Okay. Away from Keg's glasses here, let's talk about last week. Let's talk about Atlanta. What did you guys think of the race? For a Speedway, great race?
Great race. And the last 20 laps were solid. And obviously the finish was one of the best in NASCAR history. Wish it would have went our way. Obviously, we weren't on Suarez. But what are you going to do, man? That's super speedway driving.
Cool. No, I agree with what Jay said, man. It was a great race, just not the 20 laps. I thought it was great the entire race. But tough one from a betting perspective. But, it's got a lot of eyes on NASCAR. And we'll see how it continues to evolve. Hopefully it's a positive for them.
Yeah, so I guess if I were to say, like, my main takeaways from that race was the fact that, like, watching the truck race and then watching the Xfinity race, right, I expected a lot of clean racing for a while in the Cup races of all the series, right, more responsible drivers. It seemed like they were swapping the lead a lot early on in the race. It just felt a lot more chaotic in terms of the 3 series than the other 2, right?
Definitely agree. Definitely.
So
yeah, they basically drove. It was follow the leader in trucks and Xfinity, but they weren't.
It was really follow the leader in Xfinity.
Yeah, Xfinity was pretty boring.
Trucks, like, I have a love-hate relationship with trucks.
Yeah.
Like, last week was kind of, on the hate because, like, they can't frickin' drive without creating yellow flags. But, like, tonight, that was a great race, man. A lot of switching up at the front, but they stayed under green.
Right.
So if they stay under green, man, trucks is great to watch.
It is crazy though, like what Adam was saying earlier tonight. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, when you need a caution, they never come. Obviously, we got on Carruth late. Probably a lot of people in Discord. Hopefully, some people got on them if they had Caesars open at 12-1. But yeah, I mean, we should have had Heim at 17-1. That's a tough beat. You never get the caution when you need it. Tonight there were none.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is with the truck race, right? I mean, you guys called it out in the show. It was put in the live Patreon room. We can only do so much, right? So,
yeah. Still sucks though. Wish we got that 17-1 home for the boys.
Yeah, I mean, I took a bath. We just move forward, right? We got 2 more races this weekend.
Yep.
I guess one last thing, on Atlanta, with more eyes coming from the Netflix series, I mean, just great racing from a fan, just from somebody watching the race on the side, right? I mean, you're talking three drivers within 0.007 seconds. I mean, what a finish.
Coop, right? How crazy is it that Greg said that's the 3rd closest finish in history? I would have thought it was number 1, man. I mean, I don't remember the last time it was that close.
You were a little kid, man.
Yeah.
Your glasses still work.
Man, wouldn't it suck, man, if that happened last weekend? Or, and he had glasses and he couldn't see the finish of the race, man.
I could see. Okay, I could see.
All right. Okay. So let's transition. Let's transition to the outrights here. For the
you crack me
up. Come on, Coop.
You do that little thing, man, where you go like this, man.
Yeah.
Like where you tuck it in. It's like you're getting ready to putt like the golfers, man.
Yeah, I don't know why I do it, but I do it. I do it. So thoughts or early thoughts on we normally start with the track. Early thoughts on Vegas, Coop.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's usually, very good racing. If you look at this package, it has produced its best racing on the 1.5-mile tracks. So we should be in for some, good racing. We'll have to wait and see. It's typically not a, caution fest. You get around 5, 6. So, you take away the 2. At the end of the stage, that leaves you, 3 to 4. So don't expect very many cautions. I think that's another piece is, you've got to come prepared off the truck and do well because you're not going to have a lot of time during the race to make adjustments.
What did you think about what Greg said about that the track is the older it gets since the repave tire wear starting to become more of an issue? He thinks that the tire is as severe as Charlotte, which seems crazy to me. What do you think about tire wear here?
Yeah, I don't think a lot about tire wear here. No doubt that it is aging and it is getting to where we want it to be. The thing is, NASCAR is not bringing the tires. They'll tell you every week in the caption of the recap of the type of tire they're bringing, that they're bringing a tire that wears more, but like it never seems to be that way. So,
They are bringing
the other piece
new
too
rights.
is like it's just not a lot of long runs, to where you can, you got to have 50, 60, 65 laps, for these tires to start wearing. So it's not a lot, in my opinion. If it was a straight race where there was no cautions, no stage breaks, it could come into play, I think.
Yeah.
So,
But that's not
so
gonna
what do you
happen.
think with Coop? What they're bringing a new right side tire for Vegas this year? So this tire was also used at Texas, Kansas, and Nashville.
The new one?
Yeah.
Huh. I didn't know it was used before. I thought it was brand spanking new.
I thought it was brand new too.
Now, so 3 days ago, Pockers tweeted out, says new right side tire for Cup for Vegas this year. Also will be used at Texas, Kansas, and Nashville. So that's my fault. This tire will also be used at those following tracks.
Yeah. So who knows what we have then?
He said last year some teams had issues with the right sides in practice, but we're okay in the race. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So as we head into the outright market, obviously Kyle Larson is your odds-on favorite at plus 450. Following him, you got your handful of drivers in Bell, Denny. I'm trying to think of the others. I'm trying to pull up the odds. Get them in front of me.
If we're going to start with Larson, right, Chevy, I guess just to talk about the manufacturers in general, I mean, Chevy's been very good here. Toyota's been good here, but they haven't been as good as Chevy. And then Ford has been lost in this new car, basically on 1.5 miles. But they got the new body coupe. Earlier tonight, you thought it's going to take a couple races. It would be very hard for Ford to peg it right from jump with this new body. I give Chevy the edge over Toyota personally. I know we have to worry about cars like Denny, Marty, blah blah blah, but I give Toyota the edge. So I think you have, like Meyer said, Kyle Larson 4-1. It's really tough to bet somebody at 4-1. But I mean, if you can get the number up, then I think it's worth it. Like, he should be bet. He's going to be a factor. I just hate the number. What do you think about Larson, Coop?
Yeah, I mean, the number is kind of shocking, but when you really look at what he's done at this track, in this new car, he's been incredible. And then, he's been incredible really on 1.5 miles in general. he's just had, his share of, misfortunes. He could have won several more races on mile-and-a-half tracks than what he already has,
For sure.
if it wasn't for those misfortunes. So it sucks seeing him there, but in a way, he is deserving of a low number. Is 4 the right number? Should it be 5 or 6? I don't know, but he's deserving to be the betting favorite.
So, Coop, I think I sent you and Keg, the opening odds last year at this same race. We were getting these guys, the lowest guy was 8-1. It seems like the books are going to get tighter and tighter as the years go on, but 4.5-1, like you said, you almost have to find something else you love to kind of get that number up, because it's really putting you in a tough spot to get on anybody else at 4.5.
Right. Unless you're only betting Kyle Larson and you're going to bet the race live and only get on 1 or 2 guys live, then I guess you can bet him at 4.5-1. But if you want any kind of coverage, you have to get that number up. I mean, it is what it is. That number's too low.
Yeah, if you look at last year, they had 1 year of data, to go off of with this car. Now they have 2 years worth of data to go off with this car. And I think, it'll be interesting next week at Phoenix to see how they, price Blaney, how they price, Ross, based off of what they did last year at Phoenix. Will they be 4-1? I sure as heck hope not, because they're not deserving of that number.
Right.
Based upon, what they do. But as they get more data, and if things fall right, kind of like this weekend with Kyle Larson and how dominant he's been, here in this new car, we're going to see some low numbers. On the other end, I think once qualifying and practice is over and they reopen up, they have everybody so tight right now, excluding Larson. They have so many drivers that are between 8 and 14. That gap's going to, enormously grow. You're going to see some of those drivers, fall to 20, 25, maybe even 30 if they're horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Then you think that, say, post P and Q, if Kyle Larson does reasonably well, his number probably doesn't move far off of 450, right? Even if he goes out on the pole, can't go much worse than 450.
It can get worse, but not much worse. Like if he gets the pole, he'll probably get that down to like plus 375, plus 350, maybe. But
right,
if he's in the top 3 or 4 rows, which we all expect him to be, that number probably stays the same.
So would you expect that gap, that number of people in that 8 to 14 range? You expect more people in that range or less people in that range after P?
Less. Probably less.
Okay. So looking back at the March race of last year, HMS finished 1, 2, 3. Byron, Larson, Bowman. Right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you kind of shocked to see the number on Byron be twice that of Larson, given his run and speed here? Or do you think that Larson just far outweighs the competition here and deserves that 4.5?
I kind of think that if the true number on Kyle Larson is 450, then there's value on Will Byron at 9 or 10-1 because he's almost as good. I mean, he's very good. He's got half the wins here, I think, doesn't he, in the last 4 races?
Well, see, he won the March race. He led 176 laps, right? And then Larson was behind him and led 63. I mean, it was an HMS show from start to end.
Right, and then if you go back, didn't he win one of the races here the year before?
Let me take a look. The March race, March race, Alex Bowman won, Larson second, Ross Chastain third. And then if we go to...
Oh, he finished 5th.
Yeah, so if we go to the October race of 2022...
13th.
No HMS in the top 5.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. But yeah, I like Byron. I don't know what to think about the other guys. Like, I understand that we bet Bowman, but he fell off a cliff after the first 8 weeks of the year. Now, does that mean
he
that
broke his spine?
did he really break his spine? I don't remember that.
He went flipping in the midget, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Coop? I get why we bet the number, but I'm far from convinced that he's going to be in the top 3 on Sunday.
It's just one of many questions that we have here. It comes down to betting the number in this particular case. So, Hendrick's been very good at this race in the spring, much better than what they have been in the fall. So, he does really well on mile and a halves. I wouldn't be surprised if Alex Bowman wins this race. There's one of many drivers who could win this race.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
But at that 30-1 number, he's probably got to give you the best feeling of somebody who can win this race in that 30-1 range. If it says anything, that number is already shifted from 30-1 to 18-1 at most books, right? So, we got a good number, but again, does he win the race? I don't know, but at 30-1, it's worth a shot considering where he is and how good Hendrick here is.
Yeah,
right?
I'm with you.
Okay, so we'll talk about that next group of drivers, right? So we kind of already touched on Byron, but just pulling the odds at DK, odds are going to vary from book to book, but KB, Bell, Blaney, Chastain, Denny, Logano, Reddick, Kez. Everybody there is running in that 10 to 14 range.
Well, starting,
you throw Marty in there too.
Just to get Chevy out of the way, in that group, KB's 9-1, and Chastain's down to 10-1 at DK. Obviously, we're big Chastain fans. We bet, like, if we're gonna give away a free pick before we go to Patreon, we bet Chastain at 18-1. He's very good here, and I think he's going to contend for the win. He's solid on mile and a halves, and I think he's live. I don't know what to think about KB, Coop. I think those are the only 2 Chevys in that group. Well, what do you think about KB? Obviously, you like Chastain. You bet him with me. What do you think about KB?
One, I didn't bet him.
Don't talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
2.
You didn't bet Chastain?
No.
Oh, okay.
2, I think Ross Chastain's like most overpriced driver on the slate this week at where he's at right now.
At 10-1.
Yeah, not the 18, but at where he's at now. He's another guy that's, he's building up that momentum, kind of like Keselowski. He does have that win, but mile and a half, he's been close, but he hasn't been able to pull it out. KB, I think, is just a pad off. He did finish 3rd in the fall, which is good. He starts the season strong. Started strong last year. I really thought hard about KB at 16-1 at Superbook, but didn't pull the trigger. I just think that HMS is fast. Is going to be fast.
Yeah, like, I think he could run very well, but I would still put him behind HMS and Chastain. Just talking about the Chevys.
Yeah.
In the race,
Yeah.
After that, of the drivers that Adam mentioned, Ford was Blaney, Logano, and Kez. Would you guys say? I know that Roush had a killer second half of the year, but on the whole, was Ryan Blaney the best Ford, you think, on mile and a half tracks last year?
He did really well at Charlotte. He was solid in the second half of the year. I think it's a coin flip, really, between him and Keselowski.
Keselowski's the wild card because he looked so good in the fall, and obviously Buescher won a couple races. Roush really turned on in the second half of the year. Does that carry over to this year in the beginning? Because their first race at Vegas was nowhere near as good as their second race in Vegas. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, really. But Keselowski could be a factor, definitely. He could.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at 22 in the fall, Joey Logano won the race. Ryan Blaney was really good. But all of last year, Ford struggled on 1.5s.
Right.
Other than until the end of the year when Keselowski got it up, and then there was a race here or there for Blaney. But in general, they were bad, and like it was just Roush and it was just Penske, RFK. I mean not RFK. Front Row Motorsports and Stuart Haas were really really bad.
Yeah. I mean, new body this year for Ford, so obviously you've got to basically throw out everything that they did the last 2 years. I guess it's a wait and see on Ford to see how.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I find it hard to believe that they're going to come to this race with a new body and be faster than Chevy.
I'm with you.
Do I think that they can improve upon how they were last year? Most definitely. But I think it's going to take, them a couple races to really tune things up. And then like Toyota, like we've seen Toyota, they struggled at the beginning of the year the last couple of years. But then, come summertime, they've got things figured out and, they really pick it up, from there to the end of the year.
Toyota.
So since we talked about that group of drivers, right, post P and Q, so going back the last 3 races, Kez has qualified 25th, 7th, and 21st. Obviously, new body this year. But say he qualifies outside of the top 10, doesn't make the final group. You think he's quick to be in that group of drivers that fall out of that
100,
14 range, and you can just get a better number live?
I think that if Keselowski goes out tomorrow and qualifies 16th, I think that number gets better. For the people that want to bet him for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
You would agree, Coop?
Definitely. I mean, but like, I really don't care about Ford until they hit the track in the actual race. Because,
I'm with you.
Last year they qualified decently in some of the races on 1.5 miles. They ran decent for 5 laps, but once they got anywhere after 5 laps, 10 laps, they fell off. And once they got to the back, they couldn't get back up to the front, just the way their, car was designed, I guess.
Yeah, I'm with you. Talking about Toyota, the drivers that Adam mentioned, Toyota's the wild card. Like, they were close. They were good. They had some, Denny, if you look at 1.5 miles last year, Denny was awesome. Marty was solid. Bubba finished 4th here in the fall race, I think. Chris Bell was good on 1.5 miles last year. He's in that range. I don't know. Like, if Toyota improved at all, I think that they might have something for HMS. If they didn't, then I think that Chevy is going to be the fucking nuts here on Sunday. But again,
it's just weird because, like, people say this track and Kansas are very similar to each other. They're sister tracks, they call them. HMS has dominated this track, and then you go to Kansas, and that's just been dominated by, JGR and Toyota.
Yeah, right.
So, there's something to say for that. And then it's weird, too, because, like, we talk about, like, HMS dominating here, but, like, Chase Elliott's never been good here. He's been solid. He's never won here. He's never had, a lot of consistent finishes. He's been very inconsistent.
Yeah, but I think that HMS being dominant, you go back to the spring race, right? And it goes HMS 1, 2, 3. We know how good Kyle Larson is at this track. Just kind of that narrative kind of plays itself out, right? The one person that fell off that list, he's in the same odds, right? Is Marty. When you look back at Marty, his 6 races at Vegas, right? He's only got 1 top 5, but he's got 6 top 10s, right? So you just feel he's going to be there the entire race.
Mm-hmm.
what do you do with that? I remember I rewatched the spring race. He was up there with Bubba. He was up there with Denny. He was up there with Bell, right? I mean, he contended for the lead. Do you wait and play that by ear? Do you have any interest in a Marty before, pre-flop?
No, I have no interest in Marty pre-flop.
Yeah.
Do you have any interest in any Toyota pre-flop at this point?
No.
I think that Bubba is intriguing at the number. Like if you can get 25, I don't know what he is at Superbook. Last I checked, he was like 20. Oh, he's down to 20. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that everybody's wait and see except Ross and Larson and Byron is kind of where I'm at. Where is that where you're at, Coop?
Yeah. I'm even more so just Larson. No, Byron's just one of them drivers that takes care of his car, puts himself in a good position, and finds ways to win races. He was dominant here last year, but I don't know. Like, I think he's a distant from Larson when it comes to being dominant on mile and a half.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think that you have to take Byron seriously, though. But
I'm
with you. I'm with you. Everybody's kind of wait and see, except throw those three guys for me.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, Keg, I feel like the number on Byron seems a little bit off if you're going to price Kyle at 450.
I agree.
Kyle, is he, twice as good as Byron at this track, given the odds? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know. He could blow, but like the one driver in this sport we know that could just put a field away and never look back is Kyle Larson. Like he could lead all but the cycle through on Sunday for pit stops.
Yeah, wouldn't shock you one bit if he won the field.
Right.
100%.
But that number is skewing the odds on, I think, on other people, especially after practice and qualifying. Because I think Coop's right. I think that these numbers are going to shake apart. And if Larson's on the front row, his number probably gets slightly worse, which means that the number on the other drivers are going to get better. So I think I think we're in a really, really good spot to hit a number if something happens to Larson. But that's a big if. Right.
So kind of to unpack that just a little bit more, if Larson goes out and has a good P&Q, right, his number goes down to 375. Right, that number of everybody else in that 9-1 range. What's your strategy? Do you wait for after P&Q then and hope that they go, maybe move $2 in your favor? Maybe they move $3 in your favor.
Coop, do you think if Byron qualifies in the top 5, what's his number? You think on Sunday?
That's interesting that you bring it up because, like, if he starts first. Or Larson starts first, Byron starts second or third.
Yeah,
Byron's going to go down to 657.
100%.
Right.
And they could both be on the front row.
Right.
So, like, I kind of feel like you have to bet Will Byron before practice and qualifying. If you can, what's the best? Are there any 9-1 still out there?
Yeah, I think DK's got a 9-1. Let me verify.
But
right
like,
now.
if you look at qualifying, though, like at this track, it's been a mixture, man. It's been all over the place. Like nobody's been dominant.
Yeah,
I would not be surprised if Kyle Larson starts this race 6th and William Byron starts at 8th.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a Ford got the pole. Like
right.
Sometimes, like you always talk about, just they'll put down a fast lap, but that does not mean that they're going to be competitive in the race. So yeah, I think you're right.
So just because we're on that subject, right? So going back the last 3 races, October of 2022, Will Byron qualified 3rd. We go back to the March race of last year. Byron qualified second. We go back to the October race of last year, and Byron qualified third. So there's a third, second, and a third.
So you got to
be up
you
there
got
in
to
the
get
top
on
5. If you want to
100.
bet him, you probably got to do it now.
I'm definitely betting Byron before I go to bed.
So there's your for free picks. I think you gotta seriously consider Byron at 9-1.
Just to look like before we head over to Patreon, just any long shots, Coop, that you like.
I mean, like maybe Ty Gibbs, but like I'm not rushing to bet him. 28-1, but after that, no. I don't see, a middle tier team winning this race.
Meyer, what did Busher do in the fall race?
Let me see.
Busher
You want the
wasn't
fall
as good
race, not the
as
spring race?
Both.
On mile and a half.
Let's see. Let me try and find his name. So Busher qualified 5th in the October race of last year. Qualified 5th, finished 11th. Overall driver rating about 84. In the spring race, Busher was
Probably lost, right?
Qualified 18th, finished 21st. Terrible driver rating, didn't do well.
Yeah. It's just a wait and see on Ford.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to go over anybody after that Ty Gibbs range at 25-1 before we kick it over to Patreon?
No. I'm going to wait on Toyota completely.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. I guess that's it. We're out of here, boys. In 2 minutes, we'll be live on the other link for Patreon members. And then Meyer, me, and Coop will go through every market that we can possibly bet this weekend. For the boys, I'm Keg. We'll see you in a minute. Later.